your movie recap in a flash. We bring the drama, the action, and the twists. In minutes, the story begins in Spain with a lawyer named Manuel and his wife Julia. They were sitting at the house of Manuel's sister, Belén. He was playing with his nephew and watching videos of his cat. After a while, Manuel asks to leave, requesting Belén to greet her husband, who is traveling. We understand that her husband is an army officer on a military mission. Manuel gets into the car with his wife Julia and heads to their home. We notice that Julia is upset and not talking to him. He asks her, "What's wrong with you?" She responds, "I wish to have a child, and I don't understand why you object to this, especially since you love children and always play with your nephew." He replies, "I'm not ready for kids right now." Suddenly, a car appears and crashes into them. Unfortunately, Julia dies. A year passes since the incident, and we see Manuel living alone, deeply depressed after the death of his beloved wife. He feels guilty and burdened inside because he argued with her before she died. He wishes he had had a child with her. While sitting, he hears about a new virus spreading worldwide. The media says this virus will be more dangerous than COVID-19, and the government warns people to take precautions as there is no treatment for the virus. Manuel, already depressed and self-loathing, doesn't care whether he lives or dies, so he ignores the warnings and lives his life normally. Later, he meets two women who want to buy his boat. We understand that he wants to sell the boat at any cost because every time he enters it, he remembers his wife, recalls old memories, and breaks down emotionally. He gets overwhelmed by memories whenever a buyer comes and refuses to let it go. One night, he calls his sister to check on her and tells her he hasn't sold the boat. She says, "Forget about the boat. Did you see the news about the new virus?" He replies, "I've heard about it." She tells him the situation is getting more dangerous daily and that the military base where her husband works is relocating the entire family to the Canary Islands to be safe from the virus. She asks him to travel with them so she can be assured of his safety since he's living alone in Spain, which only worsens his depression. He tells her, "Leave me alone. I'm comfortable this way. I don't even want to live." She responds, "No way. I've booked you a seat on the first flight to Belgium. Get ready in the morning to board that flight." He replies, "I don't want to upset you, so okay." The next morning, we see him preparing to go to the airport. As soon as he steps out of his house, he's shocked to see most of his neighbors packing their belongings to leave the city. At that moment, he starts to panic, realizing the situation is serious. After a while, he reaches the airport and stands in line. Soon, he's shocked to find that all flights have been cancelled. His anxiety and fear grow, and he doesn't know what to do. Suddenly, everyone receives a message on their phones saying the virus has entered Spain. At that moment, everyone panics and becomes even more terrified. One person even grabs a weapon from airport security and starts shooting at employees, demanding to be allowed to travel. Belén calls her brother and asks him to return home immediately because the virus has started spreading in Spain. She warns him that if he encounters an infected person who turns into a zombie, he won't survive, as zombies bite anyone they encounter. Manuel takes his car to return home, but the roads are completely blocked and no cars are moving. After an hour, he gets frustrated, leaves his car, and walks home. At night, he arrives at his house and is shocked to find one of his neighbors infected with the virus. The government has set up an artificial tunnel for the neighbor to walk through to his car without exposing anyone else to the virus. Manuel stands there, terrified, watching his neighbor, who looks like a wild animal, something he's never seen before. He feels the gravity of the danger he's in and quietly returns to his house. The next day, he follows the news on social media and is stunned to see thousands of people infected, turning into zombies. The government struggles to control the situation. Manuel decides to stay hidden in his house, but the problem is that he needs to go out to get food. He gathers himself and goes to the supermarket. Upon arrival, he's shocked by the chaos. People are panicking and stealing everything in the store. Manuel can't find anything to take. He finds an empty bag of bread, but an old man snatches it from him. Outside the supermarket, Manuel sees an injured officer running into the store and locking himself inside. Manuel stands there, bewildered and unable to comprehend what's happening. He then sees a zombie attacking the officer and biting him. The zombie leaves the food behind and charges at Manuel to eat him. The zombie leaves the food behind and charges at Manuel to eat him, but another officer pulls out his weapon and kills the zombie, telling Manuel, "Get out of here immediately." Manuel quickly escapes, returns home, and locks all the windows and doors tightly to prevent any zombies from entering. Later, he receives a message on his phone saying the army will evacuate the city and relocate people to safe zones free from zombies. But Manuel doesn't trust the message, as there's no evidence the new location will be safe. It might be infested with zombies who could bite everyone. He decides to stay in his house rather than risk leaving and facing danger. At midnight, the army arrives at every house to evacuate the city. Manuel hides in his house, holding his cat to keep it quiet so they don't notice him. Luckily, they leave without finding him. 2 weeks pass, and the city is completely empty. The problem now is that all means of communication have been cut off, so Manuel can't contact his sister, which is an issue. But there's an even bigger problem. His food supply has run out, and he needs to search for food himself. He puts on his diving suit to protect himself from zombie bites and starts walking through the city. He enters every house he comes across, hoping to find food inside. By chance, he enters a house and is startled to find an old woman in front of him. He says to her, "What are you doing sitting alone?" "I'm alone because I'm paralyzed, and it was hard for my son to take me with him while he was escaping." He feels sorry for her and tells her, "Don't worry, consider me like your son." After that, the old woman describes several houses nearby where he might find food. He enters these houses and indeed finds food. Then he returns to the old woman and they eat together. At night, he's sitting drinking alcohol in peace when suddenly the radio turns on and he hears someone telling everyone to head to the Canary Islands because those islands are the safest place now, and the virus hasn't reached there. He talks to the old woman on the wireless and asks her to prepare herself so they can travel together to the Canary Islands. She tells him, "I'm paralyzed, my son, and I'll be a burden on you. You go, and I'll stay here." He replies, "I won't leave here unless you come with me." The next day, he packs his bag and goes to the old woman to take her with him. He's shocked to find that she has died, and we understand that she killed herself so she wouldn't travel with him and be a burden on him. He finds a letter she left him, thanking him for everything he did for her. He leaves the house feeling defeated and sad. Suddenly, a zombie attacks him, but he manages to kill it. Then he returns home, thinking about how to leave the city, because if he doesn't move on foot, the zombies won't leave him alone. He remembers his boat and decides to escape by sea. He takes his cat with him on the motorcycle and heads toward the harbor. Because of the loud sound of the motorcycle, zombies appear from everywhere. He accelerates to the maximum and manages to escape them. Once he reaches the harbor, he locks the door securely to be safe. Then he enters his boat, only to discover it's broken and won't start. He grabs a lifeboat and escapes using it, drifting aimlessly because he doesn't know the directions. The problem worsens at night when the lifeboat breaks down, and he doesn't know what to do as he's stranded in the middle of the sea. Fortunately, he sees a ship approaching him and waves to them to stop. He feels like the door to salvation has opened for him, and indeed, the ship stops, and he boards it with them. They treat him well, feed him, and take care of him. The ship's crew tells him they are from Ukraine, and he tells them he's from Spain. One of them, named Victor, speaks Spanish and translates his words to the crew. A group of survivors arrives at the ship on a lifeboat. The next day, Manil sits with the ship's crew, and they ask him to tell them the locations of cement factories in the city. Manil is surprised by their request and wonders why they need cement. However, he tells them the locations of the cement factories. Later, he walks around the ship and is puzzled that he doesn't see the people who arrived yesterday on the lifeboat. He asks Victor about their whereabouts, and Victor becomes uneasy and says, "No one came to the ship yesterday." Manil insists, "I saw them. What happened to them exactly?" Victor warns him, "Listen, if you bring up this topic again, I'll kill you." At that moment, Manil realizes something is wrong on this ship and decides to quietly leave to avoid harm. While preparing to leave, he notices kidnapped and tied up people in the lower part of the ship. These are the same people he saw arriving on the lifeboat. He tries to free them, but one of the ship's crew arrives and kills one of the kidnapped people. Then he looks at Manil and says, "You must die too." At that moment, Victor intervenes, fights with the man trying to kill Manil, and eventually kills him. Victor then agrees with Manil to escape from the ship, and they take a lifeboat to flee together. However, the ship's crew notices them and starts shooting at them. Victor gets shot in the shoulder, and Manil speeds up to get away from them. He keeps moving at full speed until he reaches the shore. Then they take a car to head to the nearest hospital. While driving, Manil says, "Why does the ship's captain want cement?" Victor replies, "The captain wants to build a shelter to protect himself from the zombies. He's trying to kidnap as many people as possible to build that shelter." After a while, they reach the hospital and are surprised to be attacked by several zombies. At that moment, Manil gathers his courage and kills them. Then he takes Victor and quickly enters the hospital, leaving him alone in a room and locking it. He searches for tools to remove the bullet from Victor's body. While walking through the hospital, he hears voices nearby and follows the sound to find the people. He starts talking to them loudly, saying, "I need your help because I have an injured person with me." A nurse and a doctor come out with 3 children whose parents have died. The doctor asks him, "Where is your friend? I'll help him." She takes Victor to the operating room to remove the bullet. At night, Manil talks with the doctor and nurse and asks them about the children. They tell him their parents died in the hospital and they have no one to care for them. The next day, Manil looks out the window and is surprised to see a helicopter belonging to the hospital. It's their only hope for survival. The problem is that zombies are everywhere around it. He thinks about how to reach the helicopter. After a while, his phone picks up a signal and the data automatically turns on. He finds many messages and videos from his sister and girlfriend. He watches them and cries because he misses them so much. Then he sends her a message saying, "I'm fine. Believe me, don't worry, I'll come to you at the first opportunity." Suddenly, he hears gunfire and rushes to see what's happening. He's shocked to find the ship's captain and his gang have arrived at the hospital, which is a disaster. He quickly informs the people with him and says, "We must leave immediately by helicopter." While escaping, a zombie suddenly appears and bites the doctor. The doctor understands she'll turn within minutes and tells them, "There's no hope for me to survive. You go so you can escape safely and leave me here. But please protect the children and take care of them." They say their goodbyes and leave. They keep moving until they find the exit gate ahead. The problem is that zombies are everywhere, and any sound or movement will attract them. At that time, Manil was observing the situation. When the right moment comes, he signals to his companions to move. Indeed, the nurse takes 2 children and quietly crosses over. Then Victor follows them, leaving only one child hiding near Manil because she's too scared to move. He picks her up in his arms, reassures her, and they move slowly toward the gate. Suddenly, the zombies see them and attack to devour them. Quickly, Manil takes the child and enters a room, locking himself inside. Meanwhile, the gang is at the hospital entrance, killing zombies, unaware that Victor and Manil are hiding inside the hospital. Manil keeps observing the situation until he's sure the gang has left. When he's certain they are gone, he comes out of the room and meets up with the rest of his group. Looking out from a window to check on the helicopter, he sees that zombies are still surrounding it. He needs to come up with a plan to reach it safely with his group. He gathers all the metal stands in the hospital and surrounds themselves with these stands. They start moving through the zombies toward the helicopter, maintaining this formation until they reach it. But the problem is, they don't know how to operate it and are stuck, unsure of what to do. Manil tells Victor to try starting the helicopter while he goes down to kill the zombies. He manages to kill a few zombies near the helicopter, and Victor successfully gets it started. But things don't go smoothly. The gang hears the sound of the helicopter and heads toward them. Here, Manil uses his wits to distract the gang. He opens the metal gate to let the zombies in, causing them to attack the gang. Victor takes off with the helicopter and throws a rope to Manil so he can climb up. Indeed, Manil grabs the rope and manages to get onto the helicopter. He's happy they survived. He tells Victor to head toward the Canary Islands, as his sister lives there and it's safe. 3 hours later, Manil gets a call from his sister. He says, "Yes, sweetheart, I'm on my way." But the shock comes when his sister asks him to turn back because zombies have attacked the Canary Islands and completely taken over the islands. Manil is shocked, unsure of where to go next. The movie ends with this scene. If you liked today's video, don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and activate the bell to receive all new updates. See you in the next video. Goodbye.